and Nick.
Welcome to That Superhero Thing podcast, where we discuss the latest superhero and comic book movies and TV shows. I'm your host Nick, and joining me, as always, my brother from another mother, Anthony.
Hi.
I'm going to do one like this every week. I'm going to think of something every week to do. You alright, yeah?
Yeah, good, thanks to you.
Good, I'm good, yeah. Anthony, it finally happened. After what feels like months, if not years, we finally got the Party Thor episode of What If. We have been counting this down every week, going, this week, next week, Party Thor. Next week, Party Thor. Was it worth the wait? You weren't sure, were you?
I still don't know.
Really? This is what I was like last week. I couldn't decide whether they'd like the episode until we well got into the review.
Like, I was entertained.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I thought it was good.
Spoilers, I enjoyed it.
That's how I felt.
I enjoyed it. We'll get there, though. We'll get there. We'll get to it in a bit. So, on this week's show, we're going to break down all the latest comic book movie news, including some big announcements about the November's Disney Plus Day, Topher Grace potentially appearing in No Way Home, and we have to talk about it, the new Super Mario Brothers movie. Have you seen this? You've seen the news about this, the kickoff we've had about this already? Yeah. Right, we'll get into that in a sec. We'll then be giving you our full breakdown and review of What If Episode 7 before discussing your thoughts and theories in this week's Pod Fans Assemble. This is also your spoiler warning. There will be spoilers and speculation throughout the episode. If you'd like to skip ahead to the What If review or to Pod Fans Assemble, we will put timestamps in the description, as always. News then. So first bit of news, Disney Plus Day. So we've mentioned this a couple of times now, but we've now got some more solid details on what's going to be happening on November 12th. So the biggest news, Shang-Chi is going to be available to stream on Disney Plus, which seems really soon, and it's not even Premier Access. It's literally free.
Oh, is it?
Free to normal subscribers on Disney Plus, November 12th.
That's
so
good.
what's that, like 6... No, it's more than 6 weeks, isn't it?
It's
12 weeks?
7 weeks.
No, it can't be. We've had all of September, all of October.
It's
10 weeks.
My friend's wedding's in November, and she said it's 6 weeks.
Oh no, from now. I mean, since when it came out. Sorry. No, you know what I know what I mean.
I was like, it is only 7 weeks.
I know what
away.
I'm talking about. I'm surprised it's not coming straight onto Premier Access first.
Do you know what though? Let's be honest. With the figures that they've had, based on the situation that we've all been in, I think that people would be quite miffed if that was the case, because they have made more. Like, I know you can say you can always make more, but more than enough money.
Yeah, it's gonna pass Black Widow's overall haul this weekend. I think it is. So it's done really good. I can't wait. I've only seen it once. You've seen it twice. I can't wait to watch it again, to be honest.
Oh, God. I'll happily watch it again.
I know,
when it comes out.
multiple viewings. Also on Disney Plus Day, we're going to be getting Jungle Cruise come to Disney Plus, and the new Home Alone film, Home Sweet Home Alone, and The World According to Jeff Goldblum season 2. Which,
do you know what? I haven't watched season 1 yet. Have you?
It's really good. Yeah, it's just Jeff Goldblum being Jeff Goldblum for half an hour every episode. It's hilarious. It's just the mannerisms and the.
Is it about 80% of him going?
Yeah, basically, and just cheeky winks at the camera. It's so good. I can't wait. I think it's only the first 5 episodes, but yeah.
Did you know that he guest starred on an episode of RuPaul's Drag Race as well?
No.
Oh my God, it was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I've not seen it. I've not watched any of it.
I mean, yeah, it's not.
It's not my cup of tea.
Not your cup of tea, but it just.
Do you know what? I'd be tempted.
I wasn't expecting it.
I'd be tempted to watch it just for a Jeff Goldblum episode. To be fair,
it's just hilarious.
So also on Disney Plus Day, there are going to be a couple of special looks. So there's going to be a Marvel special look and a Star Wars special look, but they've not told us exactly what it's going to be. I would guess it's 2 weeks before Hawkeye. So we're going to get a really detailed look at Hawkeye, I would imagine. Yeah. And then probably Miss Marvel, which is going to be the next thing, which is now confirmed to be 2022. Okay. And maybe She-Hulk, because that's been filming. I think that's wrapped now, hasn't it? She-Hulk?
Oh, I don't know.
So we might get a look at that. I don't think we'll get anything, with it being Disney Plus Day, I don't think we'll get anything movie-related.
No.
I think it'll just be Disney Plus shows. And then on Star Wars, this Christmas we're getting the Book of Boba Fett. So I would guess we'll get a trailer for that as well.
I always thought it was Boba Fett,
Whatever you want. It can be Boba, it can be Boba.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever you want.
I genuinely don't know. So if I've been saying it wrong all these years, then sod it. It's not for new for
me. Now you've called it out. Everyone listening knows. But yeah, either I'm wrong or you're wrong. one of us is stupid. We'll be covering the event on the podcast, so stay tuned for more news about that close to the time on exactly what we'll be doing. Spider-Man No Way Home news. Topher Grace. So there's been loads of rumours of pretty much every Tobey Maguire Spider-Man villain potentially appearing in No Way Home, but noticeably absent has been Topher Grace. We have not heard any rumours about him showing up. Well, on Reddit, Topher Grace was doing a Q&A, and one fan asked him flat out if he was going to be appearing in the sequel. Have you read what he said?
Yes.
It's amazing. I'm going to read it anyway because it made me laugh when I read it out. So he said, "Please keep it between us, but yes, I am in it. The plot starts with Peter Parker, Tom Holland, bummed that everyone knows his identity, and then some crazy shit happens with Doctor Strange, and Dr. Octopus comes into his dimension. Then Electro and Green Goblin hop out of one of those energy circle thingies, and they're like, it's spider stomping time. Then Tom Hardy and I pop out and battle each other, and I win, obviously. It's not even like a fight, I just kick his ass immediately. Not to give too much away, but there are also some actors from the original 70s Spider-Man show, Aquaman and Batman, Affleck not Keaton, crossover, and thanks to Disney, Han Solo's ghost from Rise of Skywalker and that Eve robot from WALL-E. Again, please keep this between us." So that's confirmation that he's in it then, yeah? Are we taking that? Yeah.
I'd say that's solid.
I want that. I'd be happy with that. If I come away from the film on the 17th of December and that's happened, I'll go away and be like, yeah, fine, happy. It is a bit weird that he's not been... It's like we reckon we're getting Sandman. We reckon we're basically getting all the villains, apart from Dane DeHaan's Green Goblin from Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. But it is a bit weird that there's not even been any rumours or talk. Is it just because people don't want him back? Because we've now got Tom Hardy's Venom, do you reckon?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think that Topher Grace got the best review at the time for his Venom.
No, I think the whole film got panned.
Well, the whole film did get panned. As soon as he started dancing like a weirdo in the street, I think the whole film got panned.
I watched that again the other week and I was just like, what
people laugh at it now, but at the time, people were fuming.
I was well upset.
I remember when people were really pissed off over it.
This was the first film. I mean, I loved Spider-Man 1 and 2. I mean, I still think Spider-Man 2, Raimi's, is one of the best superhero films ever.
Yeah.
And it was the first film that I really started getting hyped for this sort of stuff. It's probably number 3. It's the first thing that sort of drew me into, keeping up with comic book movie news. Which is obviously led to this now, but I was so disappointed when I sat down and watched it. Yeah. I was like, is this it? Is this what happens if you overpromise yourself and get too excited about these things? Because it just wasn't good. But I don't know. I think
you find
good to see him.
In general, a lot of trilogies peak in the second film.
Yeah.
I think you get that quite a lot.
The third movie in a lot of them is crap, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's hope it's not with No Way Home. Let's fingers crossed. A bit more Marvel news then. Kit Harington, who is going to be appearing in Eternals. He apparently could have been in the MCU years ago. So speaking to Total Film while promoting Eternals, he said that the comic book world has called once before, and I didn't like the role and the part and the time to do it, so I turned it down. So obviously now he's playing Dane Whitman in Eternals, but it did get me wondering who or what role he might have been offered in the past. So it must have been once he was well into Game of Thrones, which started in 2011. So I think Star-Lord maybe, because that was 2014. So there'll have been a couple of seasons of Game of Thrones when he sort of got... I can't think of anybody else he would play.
No, I can't.
Or new characters that have been introduced since that time, because it was too early for Thor.
But then to say you got a call, it doesn't necessarily mean he was the main role.
No, but he must have been. Oh yes, suppose, yeah.
He could have been asked for Taserface.
Could have been. He could have been Taserface.
Imagine. No, but you know what I mean. It's that kind of thing, isn't it?
Because it was still early days for him, wasn't it? But we'll never know. We might
find out.
Find out at some point.
He might slip.
Some DC news then. So The Flash. So a little while ago, director Andy Muschietti was releasing what seemed like weekly pictures on Instagram. So we got Sasha Calle's Supergirl emblem. He released Michael Keaton's bat symbol on the suit. Yeah. And then he released Ezra Miller's brand new Flash logo all on the suits. But then they sort of stopped.
I think I've seen this.
Have you seen this new one?
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a weird one. It's really random. It looks like it's Michael Keaton's bat suit, but it's spray painted red with a yellow flash lightning bolt sprayed over
like
the bat
graffitied
symbol.
over it.
Yeah. It looks interesting, but it got me wondering why. Is it purely for promotional purposes, or is it going to appear in the movie? And if it appears in the movie, how would it sort of show up? I can only think that early on in the film, he'll lose or have to give up his current Flash suit, and he'll work for like the second act of the movie in like a makeshift suit given to him by Keaton's Bruce Wayne, and it'll basically just be spray painted red, like an old bat suit or something like that. And then in the third act, he'll get his new costume. But I can't think other than that why I'd have this. Unless there's loads of people all trying to pretend to be the Flash, and we're going to get Supergirl spray painting her costume red.
Or Bart Simpson comes along. Does it? Puts El Barto underneath.
El Flasho. I think it has got me intrigued, and the more we see about this film, the more I'm looking forward to it. And what is it, DC Fandom next month, 16th of October? So surely we're going to get more. I think if he's releasing pictures like this, we'll probably start seeing more images, and hopefully that suit in a trailer or something.
Yeah.
Batgirl news. So composer Natalie Holt took to Twitter this week to reveal that her next project is going to be the Batgirl movie for HBO Max. It's brilliant news that for DC, to be fair, because she's just come off working on the score for Loki.
Yes.
For Disney Plus. Which the music in that was fantastic. It properly set the tone for the show. So I think it'd be quite interesting to see what she can do for DC. I think anything that can help the DC universe at the moment. And that's not me panning it, but we know it's a bit of a mess, don't we? So anything that can help it along, usher it
Imagine
along.
awkwardly making more money on the soundtrack than you do on the film.
Could possibly happen, to be fair. Last bit of news then. So we've mentioned it. We've got to talk about it. The Super Mario Brothers movie. So Nintendo did an event yesterday, Nintendo Direct. I think it was quite like an impromptu event, to be fair.
Yeah.
And they announced that I think we already knew the movie was coming. So it's being made by Illumination, who make the Minions movies.
Yeah.
And they've announced the voice cast that are going to be bringing these characters to life, shall we say. So the big names, we've got Chris Pratt as Mario.
Why?
I don't know. Charlie Day as Luigi, which will be great.
I think that would be brilliant.
I think they've nailed that. I think they've nailed everybody apart from Chris Pratt.
Yeah, this is the thing. I looked at the whole list and was like, okay, I can see this.
And then you see Chris Pratt.
And then Chris, and I was like, wow, out of place.
But Chris Pratt's like the first name you see, so it sort of set a bad taste in your mouth for the rest of the cast. To be fair,
whatever I was looking at, I scrolled and I read, for some reason, randomly, I read from the bottom up. So I was like, okay.
So we've got... So let's read from the bottom up then, with the big names. So we've got Fred Armisen as Cranky Kong. That'll be good. Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. Nailed that.
Brilliant.
The best casting in this, Keegan-Michael Key as Toad.
It's so
genius.
random.
It's genius, though. It's so good. We've got Jack Black as Bowser, Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach, which would be great, and then, as we said, Charlie Day as Luigi. I'm feeling everybody there apart from Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
It's just like Chris Pratt's a big name.
I'm not going to sit here and say Chris Pratt is not good, because he's a very, very good actor.
Yeah.
However,
that doesn't fit.
It doesn't work.
No.
That's bad casting. That's not. It's not anything to reflect him, is what I'm trying to say.
I think they should have. Do you know what? Seth Rogen would have been better. Jack Black would have been better. Either of them two would have been better as Mario than Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt is just, here's a big name who everyone's interested at the moment.
Yeah.
And quite rightly, he's good.
Yeah.
But let's just get a big name to play.
On the spot right now, who would you put as Mario?
Genuinely, probably Seth Rogen.
Would you?
Yeah. Or Jack. I think either of them are doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
There was quite a lot. There was a little bit of backlash on Twitter, which I don't get, saying that he shouldn't be playing Mario because he's not Italian.
Oh,
and I don't get that, because I don't think any Italians ever voiced Mario or Luigi.
I don't think any Italian sounds like Mario or Luigi.
I don't at all. So I don't. That's not why I don't like Chris Pratt in the role, because no one seems to have a problem with Charlie Day being Luigi, but yeah, it just doesn't fit.
Yeah,
I'd go Seth Rogen, or it's like, and as much as I love him, it'd be like putting Ryan Reynolds as Mario. He's a big name, it just wouldn't work.
No.
It didn't really work with Pikachu, did it? But I suppose the premise of that kind of made it acceptable, the way that they did the movie. But yeah, I'm not feeling it. We'll watch it. It'll be good, maybe.
Oh, I'll be taking my nephew because he's obsessed with Mario.
Yeah, he'll be taking his nephew. You liar. You can just admit you want to go and watch it. Right, anyway, that's the news for this week. Should we talk about this week's episode of What If?
Yeah. Let's do it.
That was a bit, fuming.
I'm hurt.
Well, bloody hell, it's finally happened. We've been expecting it for about a month. Literally, we've been expecting this for about a month, haven't we?
Yeah.
And we finally got the Party Thor episode. What if Thor were an only child? So, I've got to say, right, I know we've been waiting for it, but I was dreading this when we first expected it to drop. And that was because I didn't want, at the time, 3 episodes in, a light-hearted, silly episode at that point.
Yeah.
I was proper into it and I wanted the story. But now, when they've dropped it, because of how heavy the last few episodes have been, I actually really appreciated the change of pace. And I enjoyed that it was a bit silly. Do you know what I mean? It didn't need to be a really heavy episode. It was a bit of a breather from it, a bit of a break. What do you not think it was great?
I had several issues with it, I'm not going to lie.
Go on then. What were your issues with it? I'm trying to defend it here. What were your issues with it?
Okay, so first of all, this whole, what if he didn't have a brother?
Yeah.
And he was a bit of an ass.
Yeah, but he wasn't that much of an ass.
He wasn't that much of an ass. It was just very heavy on the party and very heavy on glory and fights.
Heavy on the party. He was.
But that's what he was like in the first Thor.
He wasn't
with Loki.
He wasn't. Yeah, no, but he wasn't as arrogant in this as he was in the first Thor. I don't think.
No, I don't think he was. But I just think Loki's existence didn't really have anything to do with it.
No, I know what you mean.
Do you know what I mean? So I feel like that was a bit of a shit excuse.
Yeah, a little bit.
For him to be Party Thor.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
That being the fundamental change.
Yeah.
And then, essentially, the whole thing was kids tidying up before mum gets home.
It was.
And I was just like, really? It just felt weak.
Yeah, but
do you know what I mean? And this is where I'm saying it was really entertaining. I laughed along with a lot of the jokes that were in it and stuff like that. However, the general concept of it was just this big mighty Thor, and then he's like, "Oh, my mum's coming."
Yeah, I know.
And I was just like,
they made him seem a lot younger. The whole thing of have you been doing your studying? And it's
is he 17?
He's 1,500 years old or something, isn't he? Why would he be? And I know obviously the age slower, but why would he be? I mean, at this point in the movies, he was off fighting Loki, basically, wasn't he? And then he was saving the Earth. He didn't look 17 still. Chris Hemsworth looked 30 in the movie. And I know, the ages don't always match in films, but yeah, I get what you mean. I just liked how it was. Again, I think the biggest thing for me was it's been getting a bit heavy. What if? Yeah. And even though I didn't think at this in this stage, and we'll get to the ending, that we were necessarily going to get the crossover from the end of this, which we don't know we have yet, I suppose. But I didn't think 5 minutes into this, I was like, this isn't going to go anywhere. This is pure standalone again. But I think it was just because it was so much more lighthearted that I enjoyed it. And I think I've now got to the point where I'm just sort of enjoying them for what they are rather than a big that's, story arc.
That's the approach that I've pretty much had all the way through, which is why I found it easier to get along with them.
It's taken me longer to get to that point, though.
For this one, I just really felt that it was a bit too out there.
Too stupid, too silly.
Yeah.
I suppose it's another genre, though. I mean, it is it's like how
it was
many
much
movies
more
have you seen?
slapsticky.
It was.
It in that, the Ferris wheel coming off and then them putting it back on. That's very kind of your Flintstone-y type humour. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
And no.
It was a whole different... It was a completely different tone. It was the most kid-friendly, family-friendly episode by a long way. I don't even think there were any adult-ish jokes in the episode.
No, I don't think
Whereas it's if you look at it compared to last week's episode where people were just getting murdered left, right and centre, it is a completely whole different tone. Talking about the tone of it then and where it sort of fit, there's been a couple of rumours, and I think one of our patrons, Kenneth, mentioned it as well on the Discord earlier today, that Marvel might have changed the order of the episodes, and that's why maybe we've been waiting for it for so long, because I think we were all expecting this episode 4 or 5. Yeah. And I suppose with any of the episodes, they could really slot into place anywhere.
Well, yeah,
really, couldn't they?
But however, it would make sense because I feel like the Watcher was a little bit further back this week.
Yeah, maybe, but he wasn't as far back as he was in episode 4 and 5 with Doctor Strange.
No, but I don't think he was as close as he was in the last episode.
I think it could this episode, if we're going to work with like how far away the Watcher is and how he's working, it could have come at what 5, 6, or 7. Yeah, it could have fallen at any point there, couldn't it? But I think it's probably done the right thing because, as I said, at that stage when we got like the Doctor Strange episode, I think this would have just thrown me off even more because I was dying for something a bit deeper. Yeah. As much as we love the T'Challa episode, it was just a bit. Yeah. It was silly, but I feel like we needed it now, as I said. Yeah. Let's talk about the Nexus event then for this episode. So, according to the Watcher and how it was sort of construed in the episode, the Nexus event was all based around Loki, wasn't it? Yeah. So, rather than Odin basically kidnapping a child, he did the right thing and gave him back to Laufey, making Thor, as the title says, an only child. Yeah. But if you think about it, I don't think that was the Nexus event.
Also, Loki's not an only child. Sorry, Thor's not an only child.
Oh, no, he's not. But Hela's not there, is she?
No, I know Hela's not there. But you can't turn around and say, what if Thor was an only child as the title?
Yeah, good
If
point.
he's not the only child.
Yeah. That's an excellent point, Anthony.
Sorry, that was the other thing that annoyed me a little bit.
I didn't even think of it. You think too far into it.
I'm not thinking... I'm just saying, these are just things that I picked up on, and I don't know whether it was because it had already, like...
Because you didn't like it, and you thought, I'm going to pick this apart. I'm going to slate it as much as possible.
No.
But, yeah, I think that the Nexus event, if you think about it, must have come earlier. So, and I went back and watched this today. Not the whole thing, but in Thor, Odin tells Loki that he found him abandoned and left to die as he was really small for a giant offspring. Now, we see Loki in this, and he's not small. He's a full-size frost giant. So I think the way I read it is that because Loki wasn't a runt in this, that's why Laufey accepted him back, and that's probably why Odin took him back to his dad. So I feel like that was the Nexus event. We got a slightly different variation or variant of Loki, and that's basically what caused the whole change in the situation. Giant Loki then. Let's talk about some characters. So he was amazing. Yeah, he was brilliant. So good. It was definitely literally the biggest surprise of the episode. But it's one of the first times that Loki, when we've seen all these other variants of Loki, I suppose maybe not Sylvie, but the first one who's not come across as snidey and proper opportunistic. Yeah, he seemed, sounds stupid saying this big blue frost giant is genuine, but he came across as like a genuine.
It was just laid back and wanting some fun.
Like, that's
literally all it was.
And I loved the dynamic between him and Thor. Yeah, it's the closest we've ever seen him. And it's taken them not to grow up together to be the closest version of themselves. It's like they weren't
brothers, but they were bros.
They were,
that's the best way to say it.
They were a brother from another mother, like we said. That's it. And it was great to have Hiddleston back. Obviously, he's always
he had mixed reviews on his last episode as well.
He did,
and I think
particularly from me.
Yeah, and I think that he actually nailed it this time, voice-wise.
I agree. Yeah, because in that, I don't know what he was doing in the last episode. This is obviously the Loki.
Maybe
Tom
maybe he was hungover that day.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe when he went into the recording studio, he was just a bit hungover, not in the mood.
He sounded like he was just having fun with this one.
Yeah.
The fact that he gets to play, and I know he's literally just probably in the same voice booth on the same day that he did the last one, but.
He's probably just had his lunch. He had a Subway. He felt better.
Or the other way around. He did this one first because this was supposed to be first.
He had a Subway. He threw up. Felt a million times worse. I was like, nah, I just want to go home.
He's sitting in his stomach. It's like, just get it over with. I want this done. Get me out of here. So other characters then.
Darcy. I need to mention Darcy. I was so happy when she was back in it.
I was.
As soon as I heard her voice, I was like, yes, get in. Made up that it's still her.
And the fact that we got Kat Dennings back to Zero as well. Yeah. She had all the best lines, as usual. And more importantly, the best story arc when she became Mrs. the Duck. Which was just like, what?
I was like, what is happening here?
But it was great at the same time.
Can you imagine if we got a little spin-off series, Mr. and Mrs. Duck?
I can just imagine something like WandaVision, just them two like living in a house together. Kids.
Little pond in the living room.
Yeah. Two boys who were ducks and then a human girl.
Love it. And she's the ugly one.
Yeah. The boys take the piss and call her the ugly duckling.
Yeah.
Oh, Andy, that's amazing. We need that.
I know, right?
I love the speed of the relationship too, because they went from like meeting to a married couple to an estranged couple in like a half-hour episode, and probably like a day for them, which was just completely
hilarious.
Random. So, alongside Darcy, we got Jane Foster, who was really surprisingly to me voiced by Natalie Portman. I just didn't expect it to be her. I know we'd seen her in the trailer. It didn't sound like her in the trailer.
I don't think it sounded like her in the episode though.
I don't think it did all the way through, but it was definitely Natalie Portman. He says, I'm sure I checked this on IMDb. it was Natalie Portman, and I think it's just because she's been missing from the MCU for so long. I didn't expect her to come back.
I also think, and not to be offensive, I don't think Natalie Portman has a particularly distinctive voice. Mm-mm. I think that's the other thing. There's certain actors that you know their voice straight away. As soon as they come on, you know who they sound like.
Like Darcy.
Yeah. But then you've got others that it's not bland, but it's like just quite a generic tone and sound. And sometimes you can get them mixed up between 4 or 5 different people.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I think that's the type of voice that she's got. So that was why I didn't know definitely whether it was her or not.
No, but it was.
Yeah.
But it was like Mick Wingert when he was doing the voice of Tony. There were moments of it where it sounded exactly like her, and then there were moments where it was like, is it her? And that clip that they released was the moment where it was like it didn't sound like her at all. But it makes sense because obviously she's coming back for Love and Thunder. But again, I was just surprised. I thought she was good in this though. I loved it how she just lost all sense of professionalism whenever she was with Thor, talking to Thor or talking about Thor. It's like she's like dead down to earth, like, I'm a scientist, I'm a professional, that sort of stuff. And then as soon as she sees Thor, she's just like falling completely.
Swoons.
Completely in love with him. And that moment when she's talking to him on the phone and she's like wrapping up, she's like, okay, bye, I love you. Oh shit.
Yeah, that was funny as hell.
I love that one. I love that bit. Thor then, so we talked about him a little bit, but obviously he was the main character, so let's delve into Thor a bit. He was kind of, like you said, similar to the version of Thor we saw in Thor 1.
Yeah.
But he wasn't as arrogant. He didn't have that level of arrogance about him. And I wonder whether it's because, obviously we know because of the episode, it's because he didn't grow up with Loki, but is it because he didn't have somebody who he was constantly being pushed as being better than?
Maybe.
Because we said when we...
There was no one to belittle, was there?
Yeah, and because when we did the Thor review and Thor, the Dark World review, we said, because obviously we focused on Loki for it, we were saying that Odin was constantly basically putting Loki down and bigging Thor up.
Yeah.
And because he didn't have that there, he didn't have the sense of responsibility.
Yeah.
Because obviously he didn't get banished or anything like that. So he still followed the same sort of path, but he just didn't have that level of arrogance. Yeah. He didn't think himself as being better than anybody else because he didn't have it constantly being pushed down his throat that, hey, son, you're better than your brother and you're going to be king and you're not going to be king. It was just, you're going to be king, which is why he was still a bit of an idiot. He was just an airhead, really, wasn't he, at the end of the day. I think Chris Hemsworth did a really good job.
Are you messing?
No, I think
he did it
Chris? Well. Yeah, it was Chris Hemsworth.
I didn't even know it was him.
Did you not?
I didn't think it sounded like him at all.
You said, I think it was Chris Hemsworth. It was Chris Hemsworth. I was like, is that even like the Australian accent? He doesn't have an Australian accent when he does Thor, does he?
A little bit.
Does he, Al?
Yeah, he does.
Do you?
I can hear the twang in that.
Could you not hear the twang in this?
It just sounded a bit more American, if I'm totally honest.
You can hear me clicking on my iPad. Yeah, quick Google. It was Chris Hemsworth. So he did a good job. I thought he did a good job. Anthony clearly doesn't think he did a good job because he couldn't even tell it was Chris Hemsworth.
I couldn't.
I think it was Chris Hemsworth, yeah.
I thought he sounded a bit American at times.
Oh, I would get, yeah. So he was supposed to be just like British, wasn't he?
Yeah.
No, I thought
it's like British, but you can always hear his Australian twang to it.
It was in the clip when he's telling the Skrulls, he's like, you do me. You do me, you do me. I didn't think that sounded like Chris Hemsworth either. It was like that clip that they released. Maybe seeing that before has just sort of put you in the frame of mind that this isn't Natalie Portman and this isn't Chris Hemsworth. Maybe. And then when you've gone in, you didn't notice it was them. I knew it was him beforehand. But then everyone else was jumping out
to me, like even down to Jeff Goldblum coming back as Grandmaster.
For what, like
I
2
was
lines?
So happy about that. I know. And it was literally about 2 or 3 lines, wasn't it?
If that, yeah. But Chris Hemsworth, if you'd asked me at the start of the season who would have been the worst voice actor, that's who I would have said. Don't know why.
I really?
Yeah, I just didn't think he'd be the one who could pull it. And I know he's just a character.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it sounded like just some dude reading from a sheet of paper and not talking to anybody else, which we've had in past episodes like Sebastian Stan, like we said, and Tom Hiddleston in the murder episode. One of the murder episodes we've had too. But yeah, I thought he nailed it. Anthony didn't though. Anthony didn't. Another massive character who we need to talk about, or probably the biggest character, was Captain Marvel.
Yes.
Who wasn't voiced by Brie Larson.
No,
she was. No. Yeah, I'm not checking this one. I know it wasn't voiced by. I've researched this one. I started doubting myself then. She was voiced by a lady called Alexandra Daniels, who, according to IMDb, I'm not doing this now, she hasn't really been in much, to be fair, in the past, and she's not been in anything according to IMDb since 2017. Oh. But that being said, she did a terrific job of Captain Marvel.
Maybe she was just giving out the sandwiches at the recording studio, and they were like, "Listen, Bree's just got sick."
That's so harsh.
She's not done it. It seems very random to pick her.
Do you not think she did a really good job though?
Yeah. Oh, I'm not denying that fact at all. I'm just
belittling her work. Because she's not been doing anything for 4 years.
I was making a joke.
She's now working at Subway and delivering the sandwiches.
She's doing the coffee run. You never know.
Maybe, potentially.
Most people have done it.
No, I thought she was good. She didn't sound like Brie at all, in my opinion, which seems to be what they've gone for when they've replaced other characters. Yeah. But in this one,
maybe it's because Brie's still going with it, though.
Yeah, maybe.
That's the because
but Tom Holland's still going with Spider-Man.
Yeah, but he sounded like Tom Holland at times.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? Yeah.
And then you had Tony, who sounded like Tony at times.
Yeah, and Josh Keaton sounded like Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just weird that they've gone for a different... They haven't gone for somebody who just... It was like they hadn't... And I'll be careful what I say, because Hudson Thames did a great job of Peter Parker, and Josh Keaton did a great job of Steve, and Mick Winger did a great job of Tony. But it feels like they've really gone for on this one. Not that they didn't with the others, but they could have gone with somebody who just sounded a little bit like Brie Larson and wasn't particularly good. That's not what I'm saying they did with the other three. I think they just got really lucky with the other three. Yeah. But it's they've focused on, clearly now, good quality voice actors rather than just people who sound like the character they're supposed to be. But again, I think she did a great job. So the fights between her and Thor, they were great. It was like watching Dragon Ball Z. Do you not think? Did you not like the fight?
I've not really watched Dragon Ball Z, have I? So I don't know.
No. I thought the fights between them were good.
Again, no, it got silly when they were punching each other from country to country. I
love that. I've literally got that written down. I really enjoyed that, and I thought it was really clever.
Oh, really?
Did you not like that?
No, I didn't dislike it. But
I think it took me out of it for about a split second when he punched her from France to the UK.
And then the UK to America, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then they ended up back in France, exactly where they left.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a bit stupid, to be fair. I'll give you that one. But I thought that was good. I enjoyed that.
Okay.
I thought it was funny. I thought it was very clever. I thought, because it's animated,
very clever.
You can get away. I did. I actually thought it was good. It was a clever way of doing it. Because it's like, how can you sort of show how big the scale of the fight is?
The only way it could have been more ridiculous is if they'd have put France in capital letters across the country, like a map.
Is that not what they did?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't think they did. Did they do that?
I think so, yeah. I think it said France. When he punched her in the air, it said France, and then when she was landing, it said United Kingdom.
See, that's very, like...
Yeah, no, but you've got to... They were trying to show the scale and how big this fight was, and the only other way of doing it would have been the way that they always do it, that she lands in front of Big Ben and there's a red London bus driving past. Do you know what I mean? That would have been the only other way of doing it. This way, it was just like... It was a cartoon. We can get away with doing this sort of stuff. Let's do this, because that would have been the only other way you could have done it, because otherwise you wouldn't know where she landed.
Okay.
Would you? Do you not think? You're just slating my favourite episode now. Spoilers.
Like, this is the thing though, I'm saying I didn't hate it. I didn't not enjoy the episode. Like, it was entertaining.
Yeah.
To me it was just a bit too silly.
A bit too far out there.
Yeah.
No, I get what you mean. Before we move away from Captain Marvel then, something else I thought was quite interesting, which you probably think was a load of crap, is how they sort of addressed hair power limits, which I think is a clever way of maybe setting things for the future? Because we've talked about this before loads of times. How are they going to deal with Captain Marvel? Because she's super powerful. Physically, she's the most powerful being in all the MCU. Yeah. And she couldn't beat Thor. And my first thought was, why isn't she just wiping the floor with this dude in 2 seconds? Because she clearly could. But when Maria Hill, who was voiced by Copus Mulders, it was her.
Yeah.
She was like, I thought your punch was as powerful as 10 nuclear bombs. And she said, well, it is, but if I hit him with that, I'm going to leave a crater in the planet. So maybe that's how they're going to address her not just absolutely obliterating everything when she comes back in the next movies. She's got to sort of, it's like Superman. She's got to sort of hold back a little bit, otherwise she'll just completely destroy the planet. But it's a good way, I suppose it's a good way of addressing it, isn't it? But I suppose even if they do that in the future with the movies, it's still never going to give you a sense of fear that she could lose the battle.
Yeah.
It'd just be, she might not win it straight away, rather than she's potentially going to get beaten, I suppose. Finally then, the other main featured character was Frigga, Thor's mum, who again wasn't voiced by Rene Russo, which makes sense because, like you said, she's died in the movies, hasn't she?
Yeah.
So she was voiced by a lady called Josette Eels, who again, I think she did a good job, but it wasn't at all like she was trying to replicate Rene Russo, was it?
No.
Again. I appreciated the fact that they brought her back, though, and made her a big part of the movie, the film. I think she was a really good part of the first 2 Thor movies, so I appreciated when they brought her back for Endgame. I think it was good to bring her back here. I just think it's a bit of a shame that we didn't get Rene Russo back to do the voice. So the rest of the characters then, there were loads. Some of them
Drax
were voiced.
Came back.
Drax wasn't voiced by Batista though.
No.
We knew that. But it did feel like the rest of it was maybe just a bit of how many characters can we throw into this without any real substance to it.
This is the thing, and I had this feeling again because I saw Drax and I was like, why? How?
I was questioning why is he there.
I don't understand how he's...
I mean, I know he got there because Thor had brought everybody there, but it doesn't make sense because Drax is like mourning the loss of his wife and kid, so why is he now partying with Thor? Unless this is on the... But it can't... I was going to say, unless it's under the same universe as Star-Lord T'Challa, but it can't because he saw Nebula.
And if it was, he'd have his wife and his kid, so he wouldn't be out partying anyway.
No. Yeah,
so
it didn't make sense.
It didn't make sense.
No,
the only one to me that made full sense of being there is Korg.
Yeah. But even then, did it really? I suppose Thor, being such a party animal, could have sort of convinced the Grandmaster not to kidnap people and put them in an arena to fight because he just wanted to party all the time.
Well, I mean, Grandmaster likes his parties, doesn't he?
But Meek was there, and Meek still had his gladiator costume, his robot suit.
Yeah.
So that doesn't necessarily make sense. It didn't make sense, did it?
No.
But there were loads, and I still appreciated them all. So we got Sam Jackson back as Nick Fury, which again for like 2 lines. But again, if he's been recording all these other episodes, it's 2 seconds at the end of the day for him, isn't it? Jeff Goldblum, who again surprised me massively.
It surprised me. I really wasn't expecting.
I didn't expect but again, he's probably been doing voiceover work for The World According to Jeff Goldblum season 2.
Yeah,
he does a lot of he's in it, but he does a lot of voiceover for it as well.
Yeah.
So he must spend hours in a recording booth. So again, it's 2 minutes to get him to say we're keeping the scoots and then teleporting away.
Yeah.
And then with Jeff Goldblum, we had Rachel House as Topaz, who had 1 line, I think, and she was the girl who played her in Thor Ragnarok. She got her back for 1. Maybe they told them, like, I'll record for half an hour and we'll just pick which bits we want.
Yeah.
So we got Cobus Mulders back, who we said, Clark Gregg as Coulson.
Yeah.
Always good to have Coulson back.
I saw him and I was just like, yes.
We need him back. We need him back in the MCU. I don't
know how they do it, but it needs to happen.
Secret Invasion? We need him back in Secret Invasion.
I reckon he could come back in Secret Invasion.
He could. But Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't canon, is it? That's a bit of news we missed, And we'll throw it in here. Somebody, I can't remember who it was now, interviewed Chloe Bennett.
Oh, yeah.
And asked her if she was in Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
And again, she did the classic thing. She didn't just say no.
I haven't had the call.
No, well, she didn't say that. I think she might have said that. She said, I've not been contacted, but I'll be dead honest. I don't even know what Secret Invasion is. I don't even know what you're talking about. And it's like, you may be pushing this a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Couldn't you just say, no, I haven't?
Yeah.
Do you know what? If she just said, I'd love to be in it, but I haven't been asked, I'd believe her then.
Yeah.
Because she's like showing some interest in it, whereas it's like, it's too much she's saying about it. Anyway, that's a little bit of news snuck into the What If review. We got Frank Grillo back as Brock Rumlow, aka Crossbones. Taika Waititi as Korg.
Yeah.
Karen Gillan. We got her back for a couple of lines as well. Jamie Alexander as Sif, and Seth Green as Howard the Duck. And the best one, Clancy Brown as Sorter, when he was trying to flirt with the Statue of Liberty when he melted her arm off. I love that. And I was like, when I was listening, I was like, there's no way they've got Clancy Brown back for this. So I Googled that. I spent literally all week Googling who was in the episode.
Love it.
And it was, they got Clancy Brown back, who was a pretty big actor, to be fair. And they got him back to do that. But I thought that was hilarious.
Love it.
And then I was trying to write down who else we saw. So these, we didn't get voices for these, but we said Drax. We got Drax. Was Star-Lord there? I kept seeing people who looked a little bit like him.
I don't remember, if I'm totally honest.
But I wasn't 100%. We got the Warriors 3.
Yeah.
Yondu. Why was Yondu there?
I didn't even notice Yondu.
Yondu was there for a shot right at the end when Thor was telling everybody to help tidy up, and he was with Drax. Kraglin was there.
Okay.
Scourge was there. The executioner from Ragnarok. He was there. Mantis was there.
Was she?
Yeah, Mantis was in there. Meek was there, as we said. The Sovereign, so the gold people from Guardians of the Galaxy 2, they were there. And then completely unused Heimdall, who didn't have a lot. He was in it quite a lot, and he didn't. Clearly,
just gave death stares the whole time.
I know. It's like, why didn't they have any lines?
Maybe they're bitter because he went and did Suicide Squad.
Do you reckon?
No.
Wouldn't you just get some? Why would you not get? Why would they not have just got somebody else to voice him?
I know. Yeah.
Because it's not like we needed somebody to. It's not like, I can't get anybody who sounds like Idris Elba because
it's not
Captain
a choice
Marvel.
they've gone with. Yeah.
No, and it's not the lady who did Captain Marvel didn't sound like Captain Marvel either. So I don't know why they needed to give him absolutely zero lines. They shouldn't just not include him in the episode, basically.
I know.
Questions then. So we had some questions before we get into the ending then. So my biggest question is, where were Tony, Steve, and Banner?
Yeah.
Now I know we don't know exactly when the time of this was, but I would guess it's the same time as Thor 1. Yeah, because Odin went into the Odin sleep, so it must be that time or later.
Yeah.
Because he's gone into it. He must have gone into it naturally, basically.
Yeah.
So it must be the same time as Thor 1 or slightly later than Thor 1. So Steve could potentially still be in the ice.
Yeah.
Banner could be off still in hiding wherever he was.
Yeah.
But where was Tony? Wouldn't you think, with what was going on, I know they called in Captain Marvel, but wouldn't you think the first thing they would have done was call in Tony?
Yeah.
Or Tony would have just showed up anyway because this was all going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that surprised me. Maybe
Yeah,
it's because they couldn't think of a way to kill him in this episode.
Probably.
He's becoming the Kenny of What If, isn't it? Oh my God, you killed Tony, you bastards. He is. Yeah. Maybe it's like we couldn't think of a way to top him in this episode. So we won't bother putting him. But that bothered me to a degree. As to because I was just like, I wasn't as bothered as you clearly were about things not making sense, but that just it took me out of it.
I love that's the bit that tips you over the edge.
It did. I was just like, where's Tony? Where's Tony? Right, should we talk about the before we wrap up then, should we talk about the ending?
Yeah. Okay.
So this right, I suppose.
I'm going to tell you something now.
Go on. You didn't have
I don't know who it was.
You don't know who it was?
No.
At all?
No.
Anthony.
I was like, it's got the Infinity Stones.
It's
and I was
Ultron.
Like, was it?
It's
right,
Ultron
okay,
Supreme.
I did think that.
Or Ultron Ultimate, whatever you want to call it.
I did think
because
Ultron.
when his head lifted up, you could see a vision underneath with the Mind Stone.
Right, yeah, and that's what I got confused over.
Yeah. So it's Ultron.
So at first, because I
did
was
you not recognise the Ultron bots?
No. I was like, I looked at it.
Host of a superhero podcast didn't recognise the Ultron bots.
I was like, is it Kang? And then I was like, I don't know.
Go on, crack on. Let's think of who Anthony thought it was going to be. Was it the Joker?
Now you're just being pedantic.
I am, yeah, that's basically what it is. So it was Ultron and his Ultron bots, or it was Ultron Supreme, I think they're calling him. So it was basically Vision. It was Ultron had won and got his vision body, but obviously it's not Vision. It was his body, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it can't be an Ultron from that universe because of when this is set.
Yeah.
Because it's far too early for Tony to have built an Ultron.
Yeah.
Must be.
Yeah.
And where would he have got all the Infinity Stones?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Exactly.
This has to be Ultron from a different reality, which means this is the crossover. Because we've seen in the trailers them fighting Ultron bots, all the different Avengers from all the different realities fighting Ultron bots. So this is going to be it. This is going to be our crossover. So is it a good? I suppose we don't know whether it's going to be good or not until we actually get there. But do you think Ultron Supreme is a good enough big bad for the end of the series?
I think potentially.
Were you not thinking it'd be Kang?
No.
Or a version of Kang with a big what if?
I did. I mean, that was partially why I went straight to Kang when I was trying to work out who it was. But then I was like, I think it'd be overuse if they had Kang as the big bad for this one.
When we're getting another Kang and then potentially another Kang after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
To me, I think part of the fun of this is watching the chaos that unfolds.
Yeah.
And I think if Kang is at the centre of every single one, it's going to get boring dead quick.
Yeah, I get what you mean, yeah.
So I think that we need to see the big bads that otherwise wouldn't have been here because of the overlap, basically. And I think that that's what's going to make it more fun. It can, over the next couple of movies, the next couple of TV series and things like that, it could literally be anyone.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it could be a really evil Tony Stark that comes from another dimension.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we could have absolutely anything and you'll believe it because it's just a different multiverse.
Yeah. And it's a good opportunity for us to see villains who have been not used well or not used properly, which Ultron wasn't. Ultron should have been or could have been the big bad of a phase, couldn't he? And he wasn't.
We could get a Pepper Potts who...
I thought you were going to say Peppa Pig then for some reason. That's where my head went.
No, a Pepper Potts who, like in the third Iron Man, like did go evil.
Yeah, with the extremist virus. Yeah.
You know, we could get that. So, and this is what I love about it. Like, we could actually play with absolutely anything.
Yeah.
And it'd still be a decent big bad.
Yeah.
Before we get the Colossus type of bad.
I get what you mean. Yeah. I hope if obviously we know it is Ultron, or I know it's Ultron anyway. I hope we get
all right.
We get to see more of him than just this. Either next two episodes, which we'll talk about in a second, or one episode at the end.
Yeah.
I think this is their opportunity to just bring him back. I hope he's voiced by James Spader because he nailed it. That was the best bit of Ultron in Age of Ultron. Yeah. But if anything's going to come over to the live action, I'd love to see this version.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if this version of Ultron comes into the live action in Multiverse of Madness and Wanda sees him. Wanda, who's lost Vision, sees this.
And then it's the man who... But it's technically the man who killed her brother.
Yes.
And it looks like Vision.
And she knows him. So it's not even like she hates it. It's not even like she doesn't know who this is, really. She knows this dude. She hates this dude. And it's basically in the body of her husband.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be so good, wouldn't it?
Mind blown.
I'm impressed with that. Do you normally you comes up with the ideas like that? But I'm having that one.
I'm impressed.
Well done, you. I like that one.
But if it was, would they use Paul Bettany?
No, because it's not Jarvis.
No, I know.
I thought that first.
But the body technically was Paul Bettany. So
no, they put him in there.
I know they put him in there.
Yeah, but you mean live action? Yeah. Yes, sorry, yeah.
So live action would it be Paul Bettany or would it be I can't remember the guy's name that you just
said.
James Spader.
I don't think it'd be James Spader because he's not the build to do it, basically. No. It's not me having a dig at James Spader, but he's not the build to look like that. So I think it'd be quite hard because he can't have Jarvis's voice.
No.
He can't because it's not him. He's not in there yet. So it will be quite difficult though to have from like a logistics perspective. Can you imagine them
getting Paul Bettany to do it, but it's like telepathic with the voice of James Spader?
Or not even telepathic, just like dubbing it. James Spader dubbing the voice over it. It'd just be weird to watch.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they're going to pull that off. But I suppose Vision can, as we've seen, Vision can manipulate what he looks like.
Yeah.
So you might find that maybe the body looks different just because of who it is taking over. Do you get what I mean? Like maybe how Vision looks is because is like a replication of the mind of Jarvis.
Yeah.
And if we get James Spader, it's not going to look like James Spader, but it could look like anything else, or look a lot more robotic.
Yeah.
Potentially. But yeah, that's a good point now. How they go with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got me a lot more excited though for the end of this series.
Has it?
Yeah. I mean, this episode.
Do you reckon
in general,
episode 9 will just be what if shit hit the fan?
That's what it should be called. That is what it should be called. What if shit hit the fan? We're calling it now. That's what episode 9 is going to be. Do you think? Right, we've still not seen Thanos Gamora or Warrior Gamora.
No, we haven't.
So, and we've still not seen this Lego set. What if Tony Stark got stuck on Sakaar, which I would imagine is probably the same episode.
Yeah.
It could be anyway.
Yeah.
Do we think now...
he'll get killed?
Probably, yeah, likely. Do we think we're going to get the next episode as the follow-on from this? Or do we think we're going to get another episode of randomness?
I reckon we'll get another episode of randomness before they come back to...
It would make sense if this episode was supposed to be 3 or 4 episodes ago as well, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It was like... I feel like this should have been... Now even looking at it with this should have been the mid-season tease.
Yeah.
So this should have been episode 5.
Yeah.
And this was the tease for what's coming. They should have released the trailer at that point.
Yeah.
So we knew that it was coming, and then given us a couple more standalone episodes, and then got into it in the last episode.
Yeah.
But hopefully it'll lead into... I said, hopefully it's going to lead into Multiverse of Madness and potentially Series 2 of What If. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It wasn't a serious episode, obviously, but... I liked that. I appreciated the fact that it was.
As I say, it was entertaining and I understood what they were doing. I just didn't like some of the execution.
No, fair play. I get the impression that this is going to be another one like last week where we get very mixed opinions on.
Yeah, probably.
Should we see what the listeners think?
Yeah.
Pod fans assemble.
Okay, so another episode of What If is done, and we can tell it's going to split opinions. So, 68% of you loved it, 26% said it was okay, and 6% hated it.
That surprises me.
That's actually quite overwhelmingly positive.
I didn't think it would be like that.
No,
I thought it was going to be like last week's episode, and we were going to have like basically probably 6% hated it again, but the top 2 would be the other way around. I thought we'd get a lot.
I didn't think they'd be the other way around, but I thought they'd be more neck and neck than they were.
Okay.
Corellia Christina said it was a much needed breather from the previous weeks, which I 100% agree with.
I agree.
Ryan said the worst.
See, we're getting a mix here. Some people hated this.
Glorp said enjoyed it more than I thought I would, and all the cameos were great. Also love Frost Giant Loki, would put it 4th overall. I loved the cameos. I thought the cameos were brilliant. Although I didn't understand some of them, I loved all of them. I just loved the fact that they were there.
I wonder whether me and the people who seem to have really enjoyed this, like Glorp has just said, is because we were expecting it to be crap, and it wasn't. Yeah, I don't think it needed to be basically that. We've gone in with low expectations, so it didn't have to be phenomenal for us to walk away going, oh, it was good that.
Yeah. Blue Jay then said, it started off super slow, but it got good in the second half, and the ending sure was a real big shocker.
It was.
It was when I found out who it was.
It was even more shocking when it wasn't.
I ruined it for myself. Utterly Random Guy said, I feel this one was absolutely hilarious as Thor became some party animal, but kind of understandable where being an only child would be a bit lonely and wouldn't shape to be a more level-headed person.
Yeah. Good
Furthermore, it reminds me, like, to be specific, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince movie, where the whole movie is fun and hilarious before it leads to an upcoming dark sequel.
I didn't like Half-Blood Prince. I know we're going off on a tangent here, but I
didn't you?
No, I just don't. I can watch all the Harry Potters, and then when that one comes on, I'm like, nah. I didn't think it was fun. Did you think it was a fun film, Half-Blood Prince?
No, but I've read the book, so I knew what was coming.
Well, no, I knew what was coming. I don't find it. I'm sure some people do because it probably nailed it at the box office. But I don't get it. I don't really enjoy the film.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the second to last one, where they're just walking through the woods for 6 hours. Which is exactly what happens.
It was all about the 8th one for me. The dragon from Gringotts got out.
That was good, the last one.
Loving Life.
Is that the last?
It was a dragon one, so I was happy.
Dragons. We just needed a velociraptor in there as well. And we'd have been laughing.
Then Nathan said, I've got mixed feelings. Like some parts of it, like seeing the other cosmic characters, but the story really didn't hold my attention. Best part was the Infinity Stone Ultron Vision at the end, hoping this is the big bad we get all the characters together to fight. I agree.
Gotta be.
I actually agree with everything that he said there. He also said, Kat Dennings was doing a terrible Kat Dennings impression when voicing Darcy.
How dare you? Anthony's face, you should see Anthony's face. He looks mortified.
Hang on, he hasn't finished. And this is why I'm hurting. Honestly thought she was the only character not to have the live action actor reprise the role. Now, isn't that weird? Because we said the same thing about Natalie Portman, then I said it about Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah. And I thought that was the one who was like bang on it with Kat Dennings.
I think you can just tell with her voice, though. She's got a very specific voice.
Yeah. I think with Kat Dennings, though, she's like Marmite. You would either love her or hate her. I found her really annoying in the first Thor film when I watched it. Going back and watching it now, I think she's great. But the first time I watched Thor, I was just like, will you shut up?
Really?
Yeah, you know, like Carol is in this when she's like, you're at an 8 and I need you to take it down to a 4. I was like, you're at a 10, you need to take it down to a 1. Shut up. And now it's just like, carry on, talk.
Matt Kotepsik said, the biggest part in the galaxy left me feeling bored.
Mixed reactions, I told you.
Yeah. Wes Saga said, pretty bummed with this. Maybe not in the right mindset for this episode, but after just watching it, I feel rather annoyed and disappointed. Just have to remember, Marvel made the Inhumans TV show, but they also gave us Loki and WandaVision. Talking about Loki, by the way, just very quickly, one of my friends has only just watched Loki, and she said it was utter garbage.
Really?
She hated it, yeah.
What?
I know, I was dead shocked with that as well.
Is your friend listening to the podcast?
She probably will do, yeah.
In 6 months, though, when she gets to it.
Yeah, when she gets around to it. But
yeah.
I was so shocked by it. I don't think I can talk to her about it because I think I'll get offended.
But you know what?
I feel love her, but I think I'll get me back up a little bit over it.
I think with any of this stuff at the moment, I think with anything that's Disney Plus related, I could see, maybe not with Falcon and Winter Soldier, but I could see why people wouldn't like any of it because it's all a bit weird and very different.
It is very different.
WandaVision, Loki, this particularly.
And to a degree, it's quite a different format from the films.
But that's the beauty of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
You either love it or hate it.
Yeah. Then Kenneth said, loved this week's Party Thor episode. When Marvel does comedy, it excels, and I can see how this one could be divisive in the fandom. Loved the Cat Marvel was giving Thor as much crap as he was giving her, and Giant Loki was great. Finally, it's always Mum who comes and sorts the kids out.
Exactly.
Mika said, it was so bad, the worst episode ever. Paul Sears said, I quite enjoyed this week's episode. I think the series needed this light-hearted episode compared to previous ones.
Yeah.
Was surprised by how many cameos were in this one. One, Mrs. Darcy Duck.
Yeah.
Would be funny if Love and Thunder has this version of Thor in it. One of my faves so far.
It would be good if we saw maybe variants in that.
Yeah. Then we've got V, like Vampire says, for me, as a fan of both Thor and Loki and their actors, this episode is just like the real life Chris as Thor, so real. And there are also references to main TL MCU I really love. Chris and Tom also called each other brother from another mother, and that's absolutely precious.
Oh, we're precious, aren't we?
Love it. I mean, this one is one of the most hilarious Thor stories I've ever seen, and I couldn't stop laughing during the whole show. Thor is just so Chris Hemsworth, and the way he was punched by Carol the first time, that was a reference to a BTS in TDW. Lol, I just can't.
I'm behind the scenes in Thor: The Dark World. All right, okay, I didn't know that.
I'm glad you said that because
and he's like, I don't know what any of these letters mean.
Honestly,
that's what it means.
It's a Friday. I've been in work all week. It's just in shambles.
We're doing it late this week, aren't we?
Robin said this episode was phenomenal. The amount of Easter eggs and cameos they crammed in these 35 minutes makes my little nerd heart happy.
Amazing.
Maybe not the best story, but a spectacle nonetheless. Also hyped for Ultron Supreme.
I can't wait.
Why is it that we're just putting Supreme on things? Because now we've got Strange Supreme, the Sorcerer Supreme, and then we've now got Ultron Supreme.
And Howard the Duck Supreme.
Mr. and Mrs. Duck Supreme.
I need to see that. That sounds like something you get at the restaurant. Can I have Howard the Duck Supreme, please?
Oh, God. Thomas Carter Rochester said, episode 7 of What If is the best episode yet. A full-on What If story full of fun, laughs and revels, complete with a better Jane Thor love story than the first two movies.
Oh, tell me about it.
Riffing on John Hughes themes and the official start of the crossover, hopefully.
I'm with you there, Thomas. I'm going best episode ever.
And then he's put a gif of Thor saying it's about time.
It is about time. I do think this was best. I think there's a difference between best episode and favorite episode. Yeah. I don't think it was the best episode, but this has been my favorite one so far. I enjoyed it the most out of any of them. Yeah, if this was the first one where, even though I didn't know that the crossover was potentially coming at the end, I just didn't care all the way through.
I enjoyed zombies more than this.
No, I did. I think it was a heavy episode again. I needed. Maybe it was just a rough week. Everybody who enjoyed the episodes had a really rough week, and everybody who didn't like it had a really easygoing week, maybe.
Peacemaker said, this episode I had no hype for, but surprisingly was the second best in my opinion. I loved every second of it, but I swear this felt like a dream I had 2 years ago and I don't know why. And also, how on earth did they have enough money for frickin' Jeff Goldblum?
As I said, I thought that at first, but he'll have probably just been doing voiceover for...
he could have been in Studio 3 doing his own thing, and they've just popped in and gone,
I am not getting paid to promote Jeff Goldblum, whatever the world. I can't pretend not to know the name of it now. I know I've mentioned it like 8 times in this episode. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. Oh, I wish it was superhero related and we could cover it on the podcast. Not to start a separate podcast. That Jeff Goldblum thing coming soon.
I love it. Bill Dunn Jr. I am not sure what people want, but this was a funky marriage of the two Thor verses. The Branagh Thor.
Funky marriage?
The Branagh Thor and the funky cosmic Waititi Thor. Also, it really poked fun of the overly serious tones of both Thor and Captain Marvel. It was funny.
Yeah.
This is the thing. I can't say I disagree with anybody's opinion.
You just didn't like it.
No. This is the thing. I didn't dislike it. I just felt it was that little bit too silly. That's literally, it's the worst thing I can say about it. It was just a bit too silly, and it didn't get me like the other ones did. But I still enjoyed watching it.
I suppose it gave, because of how silly it was. We said silly a lot in this episode. Because of how silly it was, the big reveal at the end was maybe a bit more of a surprise.
Yeah.
Because it was just such a light-hearted episode that then to have the big bad drop in at the end of it was it was a massive surprise to you. Yeah. Whereas if he dropped in at the end of any of the other episodes, you probably wouldn't have been as surprised to see.
No. That was probably the best thing. Erican said, definitely better than last week's episode, but this still wasn't great. Story wasn't all too engaging, and I thought the episode itself was just kind of dumb. The animation I thought looked great though, and the voice acting was pretty good as well. Also, that finale was okay, definitely plus. He then said, not excited for the last episode. I think it's going to be a gigantic mess, but surprisingly I'm pretty excited for next week's episode.
Okay, fair play.
David Corey Jones said, love Thor versus Captain Marvel. Thor was just goofing around. Sam Adams said this was probably the worst episode.
So weird. I'm not wrong. Like, if you didn't like it, you didn't like it. But I love every week we get this. Like, some people like it was amazing, and it's always different on each episode.
Mass Debaters said the worst episode of the season. Keeper of the Sacred Flame said the amount of surprise on Watcher at the end made me happy and scared at the same time. I loved the Marvel fight scenes. Stephanie Tittle said, that was the most fun episode thus far. I laughed my ass off for much of it. Being a mum of adult man-childs, the fear from Thor and exasperation from Frigga, and the ultimate con job was so relatable. The WTF moment at the end was amazing. What's next?
Yes.
JJ Lee said, I liked the episode, but I thought that this would have been better as one of the earlier ones.
Yeah.
Either way, I really liked the cameos, and it was funny to see that Loki and Thor will always be brothers, and I can't wait for episode 8.
Yeah. I would I wouldn't have appreciated it at the time, but I think it would have suited being earlier on in the series.
Yeah, definitely. Doc and Concept said, when you realise Loki is evil because of Odin kidnapping him.
That's basically what happened.
Yeah. Kids, what are we watching tonight? It had some stupid funny moments. Korg killing Nick Fury. I forgot it was Korg that did it. Jane trying to hide Thor. Frank Grillo complaining they never get to fire the nukes. The hammer at the end, but it was okay. The final moment was really interesting though.
Yeah, can't wait.
Mischievous Scamp said, loved this episode, way better than the last one, so many laughs. Loved hearing almost all the original cast came back on this one too. That aerial fight in the desert set to the 80s style synthy tunes from Ragnarok was pretty damn amazing too.
It did. It had the It's Your Birthday. It's My Birthday music playing over it, didn't it?
Geeky Nate. Okay, so this was my favourite episode yet. Loved this Loki variant and I want more. As for Ultimate Ultron, I was surprised and can only assume he's reality jumping with the Reality Stone and Space Stone.
Wonder how he's doing it. Oh, right, yeah, with the reality. Yeah, okay, yeah. So.
Since after Thor 1, Stark was nowhere close to making Ultron.
Yes, so it can't be from that universe.
I reckon episodes 8 and 9 bring a crossover as Ultron forces the Watcher to interfere.
Ooh.
So if Ultron's doing the forcing, okay, I like that. Now this week's What If. What if the DCEU was the successful franchise and Marvel had failed to create the MCU?
That's a good one. I like that. Yeah. So if they just failed to create it?
Yeah.
I think if they just hadn't done it at all, the DCEU wouldn't be the same as the MCU now.
Can I be totally honest with you?
Yeah.
I don't think it'd exist.
The DCEU?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I think we just have the same sort of DC movies.
Yeah.
I don't even. I think it'd be better than what they're putting out now.
Yeah.
Oh no, not what they're putting out now because they've got better. They have got better, but it would have been
a couple of years.
It would have been a better start.
They were trying too hard, and it was because of the competition with Marvel.
Yeah.
So I think without that added pressure,
But I don't think they would have tried it. They did it too quick to try and catch up with Marvel.
Yeah.
I think if it had...
I don't think they'd have tried like Justice League or anything like that necessarily.
No, I don't.
But I think they still may have... Well, to be honest, it'd probably just be Batman and Superman rehashes, wouldn't it, constantly?
Yeah, but it wouldn't be Batman versus Superman.
No, it wouldn't be versus. I just mean like it'll just be remakes and rehashes constantly like they have done for the past 40 years.
We'd have had Batman movies with the odd mention of Metropolis, and we'd have had a Superman movie with the odd mention of Gotham, I think then. Well done. And I think superhero movies, whether Marvel had done them or not, we're getting bigger. We had X-Men, we had Spider-Man, the regular movies, we had Blade, which is probably what it all came down to at the end of the day when you think about it. So I think we would have still seen versions of these other characters. We'd have probably still had a Flash movie. Aquaman? I don't think we'd have had an Aquaman movie. I think they were just trying to pull in as many characters as they could, which is why they've got Aquaman. I think it's resulted in a really good Aquaman, but I think we'd have just had characters like... we'd have probably ended up with a Wonder Woman movie, a Flash movie maybe, and a Batman and a Superman. And we'd have been on another version of them now. Yeah. That's what it is. I don't think, like you said, we would have ended up with a huge interconnected universe. And it would have changed the sort of trajectory for a lot of movies, because a lot of movies have tried to do this and haven't. I've done it maybe to a little bit or not tried it at all. Or not done it well at all. But yeah, I think it would have... sounds really dramatic. I think it would have just completely changed the face of cinema of what we know now. Yeah. Do you agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Thanks, Nate, and thank you everybody for sending in your theories for this week's Podfans Assemble. Should we do the wrap up?
Yeah.
Right. So thanks for listening to the show, and don't forget to come back next week for our review of What If episode 8. 2 episodes to go, aren't they?
Mad, isn't it?
That's it. It's gone quick, hasn't it?
I think it's gone
when
quick.
This started and we were on 9 episodes, it was 9 episodes. I was like, it's going to take forever to get through this, but it's flown. It's absolutely flown by.
Yeah.
We'll also next week be bringing you all the biggest news from Netflix's To Dum event, which is tomorrow. We're recording this Friday. It's coming out Friday. You're probably listening to it on Saturday, though, to be fair, at the earliest.
Yeah.
So today, we're not doing a live recording or anything like that, but we will be on Twitter at 5 p.m. British summertime, which is when it is airing. Say we, probably me, but we'll be there. We'll be talking about it. That's fine. And we'll be off getting pissed somewhere. You can find all our episodes at thatsuperherothing.com, along with all of our social media links. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. On the website, you can also sign up for our email newsletter, where you receive new episode alerts and news on upcoming shows. You can contact us on any of our socials and submit thoughts and theories for next week's Podfans Assemble. If you've enjoyed the show, please do consider rating and reviewing the show on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser, because it does really really help massively with us getting seen by more people. Patrons, so if you'd like to support the show, you can at thatsuperherothing.com/Patreon, or as we say, patreon.com/thatsuperherothing, because we like to give you choices. Just like Geeky8, Kenneth, Keeper of the Sacred Flame, and Stephanie Tittle, who we have a few of those guys listening into the podcast live as we speak, which is another benefit of signing up.
That's
for
if they're
the
still
Patreon.
there.
If they're still there. Probably given up. I would have by now. Finally, something we've put on Twitter a couple of times already. We are currently hard at work on a new website where we will be hosting the podcast, but also bringing you news articles on all the latest comic book movie news and reviews. If you are an aspiring content writer and would like to get involved with the podcast and with the new website, we would genuinely love to hear from you. So send us a DM on Twitter or ping us an email at thatsuperherothing@gmail.com and let us know if you're interested, and we will get back to you ASAP. We want to build this. We want to build it as big as we can, and we want as many people involved in it as we can do. So get involved. Let us know.
Amazing.
Other than that, though, I think that's us. Is that everything? We covered everything.
I think so.
Done all right, haven't we? Sound right. Nice one. Thanks, guys.
Cheers,
See you next
guys.
week.
See you later. Bye.